The Nine-Tailed Demon Fox. This was one of the greatest plot devices in the series, and was good enough to be repeated by many other shows as well as in Naruto's own sequel. The idea of the protagonist with high hopes, yet a demon in their hearts ready to take over. I would argue that it symbolizes the monster in every human, the potential to do bad, to do evil. But just like the protags of these stories, how much power we give to that side of us is determined by our own choices. That being said, Kurama actually came around eventually. What was the aspect that the tailed beasts were all evil monsters like Kurama or like Shukaku, who spawned the hellion side of Gaara, eventually melted away into a more sympathetic light, the hatred in their hearts being destroyed by the all-around good-boy-ness of Naruto. And despite their rocky start, Naruto and Kurama eventually became best friends. That was up until Kurama passed away due to his use of Baryon Mode. But with his character growth bringing him from selfish to self-sacrificial, I think that makes him a perfect candidate for a what-if involving him returning back to the beginning. So why don't we go ahead and get into that. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed, and with that out of the way, let's get into it. As Kurama faded away, the densely packed chakra that made up his form dissipated into the air as steam. Kurama was content with this. There had been a point in his life where all he had cared about was his own freedom, where he would do anything at any cost to free himself from his host and take his revenge upon the village that had so wronged him. And now he was dying for that Jinchuriki. He was dying for that village. And you know what? That was just okay. Kurama had seen much in his life, and during his time living in the cage that was Naruto, Kurama was forced to take a long, hard look at the world around him from many different viewpoints. Usually he had been hostile and hateful. He resisted every attempt to be changed. But eventually he was left with no choice but to look at things from Naruto's perspective, to look at things through the scope of hope, through the lens of love. And his life was never the same. The moment he learned to finally let go of the hatred that was hurting himself as much as everyone else, he felt like he was finally alive. And even now that he was dying, that still held true. Even in the process of dying, what he was dying for, he felt more alive now than he had ever felt during his time marred in the mire of hatred. Kindness and generosity were not lost on him. Love was infectious. Love was contagious. When it finally broke through all the layers and shells that had been built up to separate it from the rest of the heart, it truly touched the most sensitive part of Kurama's soul and soothed it. You know, maybe this isn't so bad, Kurama had thought. And in that moment, he was transported back in time. The moment he had accepted love back into his life, he was awash with nostalgia, with a sense of calm and freedom that he hadn't tasted in years. In that moment, he was once more on the lap of Hagoromo, laying there, getting belly rubs, being scratched behind the ears, being loved again. The idea that anyone could love a monster like this without cost, without expecting anything in return. True love, true godly love, it changed everything in Kurama. And now, as he was passing on, possibly unable to come back as most cases generally were, he knew he would be okay. Whatever happened to him next, he was always going to have that love in his heart. Looking down on Naruto's crying face was the only sour point in this. To know his leaving was going to cause the boy who had grown not only into a Hokage, but into his best friend, so much pain, filled Kurama with a bittersweet feeling. Bitter in that his death was going to hurt others, but a subtle sweetness that he would be missed. His absence was going to leave a hole. For years, Madara had spoken of how hatred was born from love, how love should exist independent of pain. But Kurama now, as he passed on, finally understood where Madara went wrong. Love was not destroyed by pain. It was fulfilled by it. Pain was the benchmark that allowed all to know what love was. It was the needful contrast that gave vibrancy and meaning to all the colors of the heart. And even in sorrow, even in death, pain was okay. Pain proved there was a heart. Pain proved that the love was real. Pain did suck. It hurt a lot. But in some cases, Kurama felt as though it was a needful thing for beings with a limited memory. It was a painful reminder of the good things that came with caring. And though a hole was left in the hearts of many, the memories made that were filled with love through pain were polished into fine gold that would sit in the space that Kurama once occupied. A nostalgia and a happy place that in the midst of strife one could retreat to in order to find respite. It filled Kurama with a certain feeling that he was hard-pressed to express. To feel happy and sad all at the same time, but for that sorrow to be somehow edifying the love within him and others. It simply showed that, to some degree, Madara was right. Love and hate were a causal nexus that could not be separated, because love and pain were the same thing. True love could be viewed through pain, and now that Kurama was finally understanding love, finally understanding the point of his life, he felt he could pass on peacefully. Would he reform through the chakra that existed in this world? Or would his soul simply move on to heaven, where it could exist with Hagoromo once more? Exist with Kushina and Mito? In so many years, he had hated them. But now, looking back, he knew that bad things happened for a reason, and that had he never experienced that, he wouldn't be where he was now. And where he was now was where he was supposed to be. He felt fulfilled, and he hoped that someday, in some way, he would get to express his gratitude and love that had, though late, blossomed into a bouquet of red roses and irises dedicated to them. He hoped, and in that moment, the existence he knew ceased for something else. What it was that he felt next, he was unconscious of. He felt a hand, many hands, grabbing him by the pelt of his back and dragging him somewhere. Once more, there was darkness. There were subtle images like that of a dream. Was Kurama sleeping? What was this he was feeling? It was a nightmare. It had to be a nightmare. He saw destruction, battles, wars, PTSD maybe. No, there was a roar he'd hoped to never hear again. The roar of the Ten Tails, and it was rising up in guttural fashion from Kurama's own throat. He only caught glimpses of two warriors, two figures. Were they Susanoo? No. One was a Susanoo of bright blue color. The other was a six-paths Kunitsukami, a three-faced, six-armed monster just as powerful as a Susanoo. It was Hagoromo and Hamura. There was a unique feeling for Kurama. He felt as though his soul was ripped from his body once more and pulled into another. He was sealed again, and in that moment, the nightmare seemed to end. It all seemed to calm. A feeling like sickness rushed over him. A fever brought on by the stress and strain on his mind from these things, but during those moments he remembered his time with Naruto. He remembered all the good things in his life that had brought him joy, that filled his heart with that intoxicating and addictive emotion called love. Keeping focused on that, he maintained his sanity until such a day as he felt a set of shears. He felt weighed down by something, but in that moment the shears cut him free, and he was allowed to forget his pain he'd experienced for some time. Years, maybe. Centuries. Millennia. Or was it just for a few hours? Minutes? Moments? Time was relative, and for Kurama that meant that he had no sense of it. All he knew was that he was in anguish one moment, and now he wasn't. His mind, holding on to himself, finally reformed completely. He opened his eyes in darkness to see that he was once again in a physical form. Is that what it feels like to die and reform? Kurama asked. I feel bad for Isobu. He didn't just have to do it once, but twice. Kurama looked around. Where am I though? I don't sense anyone. Kurama began to think about Naruto. I need to get back to him. I hope he's okay. I hope he's still alive. I want to see him again. Kurama took off, running through the darkness, searching for anything to tell him where he was and where he needed to go to see the one he cared about again. That was when he saw a certain light. He couldn't quite make it out, but it was the first thing he'd seen while running, so he approached it. As he did, he found himself in a familiar room, and before him, with a familiar man. Old man Sage, Kurama said as he saw Hagoromo standing there. Hagoromo looked over at Kurama. Kurama spoke. It's been so long since I've seen you. He lowered his face to the ground and lovingly pushed his snout up to Hagoromo, who gently began to pet it. You remember me? From when? From your time as the Ten Tails? Kurama shook his head. I mean, I have fuzzy memories from that, but they're so distant that I can hardly call them memories. I'm talking about all the other things. Our time together 1,000 years ago, just you and me, and the other beasts, and just... Kurama was smiling in joy, overcome with nostalgia. The sage, though, maintained a look of confusion. All the while, he continued to pat the nose of his newest creation. 1,000 years? Hagoromo asked. Kurama nodded. Give or take a little. It was 1,000 years ago that you gave me a form and we started to have fun. Then you let me go free before your passing, and I experienced so much. A lot of good things and a lot of bad, but in the end, your descendants really showed me what it means to live. Hagoromo was confused, though pieces were coming together. The secrets of the Six Paths power was still a mystery, even to Hagoromo, but it seemed like in some way Kurama had been born with memories of a time that had yet to happen. Hagoromo understood. Kurama, you say you remember these things. How? Kurama's eyes opened up with a bit of confusion. I remember them because they happened. Kurama looked around. Where are we? Are we in heaven? Did I not reform after death and just pass on to here? Hagoromo realized it. Something strange had taken place. Kurama had perished in the future, which made Hagoromo sad to know. But there was a bit of joy in realizing that he brought with him the lessons that Hagoromo had hoped he would learn. But all the same, circumstances had changed, and he needed Kurama to understand what kind of situation he was in. It would do the nine-tailed fox no good to remain unaware of things. So, where's Naruto? Kurama asked. Is he okay? I know our transformation took a lot out of him, but I want to make sure he's still alright. I'm scared that the removal of my chakra from his body killed him. Hagoromo turned fully to face Kurama, where he took the snout of the fox and placed a kiss on its wet nose to show the affection that Kurama would need in a moment. I believe a strange event has transpired, Kurama. One that I possess no knowledge of, but can somewhat understand. What do you mean? What is it? Is Naruto okay? Hagoromo then spoke. Kurama, I do not believe that the Naruto you seek exists yet. Kurama was visibly confused. What do you mean? Hagoromo continued. Kurama, I can't explain it, but I believe that somehow you've been transported back in time. The things you speak of have yet to happen. You see, you spoke that I created you 1,000 years ago, but that's impossible, Kurama. Kurama sat there questioningly. Hagoromo then continued. I only just now created you. Kurama was suddenly hit with a realization. You look younger. Hagoromo began to offer more comfort to Kurama through hugs and rubs to the nose. It seems like you must have perished in a noble battle, and somehow your soul was brought back to the beginning. Why? Kurama asked. Did I do something wrong? He began to look into his history. I did so many things wrong, Kurama said as sorrow began to take over his heart. I don't know if it's because you did anything wrong or not, the sage said, but don't let your heart be troubled. This is a blessing for you, a chance for you to relive all the best parts of your life. And if you did make mistakes, this gives you the chance to try again without making them. Kurama seemed to understand, but there was still something in him that felt troubled. Hagoromo stood there and felt a certain trembling coming from Kurama's body. He didn't understand what had happened, and because of these things, he was scared. Such a big, powerful beast feeling such a feeling. It really reminded Hagoromo how fragile a heart was, how beautiful the heart was. Kurama, if there was anything we could do together right now that would bring you peace and comfort, what would it be? Kurama thought about it. I would just love to spend time with you again. I want to do all the things we used to do. And what did we used to do together? Hagoromo asked with a smile. Kurama smiled himself. I used to just lay down and listen to you talk, listen to your heartbeat while you scratched me in all the good spots. Good spots, let me guess. Behind the ears, like this? He began to scratch behind Kurama's ears. Kurama smiled, took a deep breath in, and slowly let it out. Slowly but surely, the trembling ceased. Hagoromo continued to offer Kurama a pure, unconditional love to bring him peace and comfort. Kurama's heart calmed, and he began to slowly accept things. But questions lingered on his mind, such as why this happened. These things the sage could not answer. Should I try and change anything then? Kurama asked. I made a lot of mistakes, but they all worked out. Should I do things differently? That's up to you, Kurama, Hagoromo said. Whether you change the way you do things or keep them all the same, that is completely up to you. But just know, whatever happens, I will be proud of you. For now, though, let's focus on the moment. You and I will be together for a good many years, and so let's enjoy them together. I also have a surprise for you, though I guess a surprise isn't exactly something I could do if you already know the future. What is it, Papa? Kurama asked. The sage spoke. I've made brothers and sisters for you, so you will never be lonely. A conflicting feeling came over Kurama. He remembered the other 8 beasts. Eventually, they became friendly toward him, but they rarely got along when Hagoromo was no longer in their presence. This was something Kurama told the sage. "So I don't think they'll like me," he said. The sage offered Kurama more care to settle his nerves. "You're a different fox now than you were before. Maybe through those changes you'll be able to befriend them. Maybe because of your wisdom you can teach them things. Despite everything, you've lived a life that none of them seem like they can measure up to. If that is so, then your role will be the older brother. Guide them with your wisdom and your caring paws." "I'll try my best." And so Kurama attempted to do so. He tried to teach them things he learned during his life, and tried to be kind to them, but there were just some things that could not be taught with words. Some things had to be taught through experience. With the entire group fighting over who would be the greatest, Kurama did his best to stay away. He didn't wish to let them know that out of all of them, he was the strongest. Kurama didn't think that because of pride or anything, but because it came to his attention that Hagoromo had not split the chakra of the 10 tails evenly, and had given them power in accordance with the number of tails they had. Kurama had learned early on that he was 2 times as strong as even the strongest tailed beast. But as said before, Kurama did not believe these things out of pride, and as such did not ever mention these things. In fact, he deferred to the others and let them call themselves the strongest, because if they needed that for their egos not to collapse, then he would give it to them. Due to him not even being in the running though, they would often come to him and ask him to judge. "Who among us is the greatest tailed beast, Kurama?" Shukaku asked as the other 7 patiently waited for his answer. Kurama would look at them and speak. "Who is the greatest? Well, who is it who understands what it actually is to be alive? Who understands how to care?" The tailed beasts began to roll their eyes as he was once more speaking of love like he were the sage or something. "So what? Are you calling yourself the greatest since you apparently know these things?" Son Goku asked. Kurama shook his head. "No, not at all. I don't even want to be in the running because that title means nothing to me. What I'm trying to say is that who's the strongest physically doesn't matter. What you should strive for is who's the strongest of heart. That means a lot more than physical strength. Even the weakest person in the world can become the strongest if their heart is strong enough, and their bonds pure enough. Who the strongest beast is does not matter. It never mattered. What matters isn't how much power you have, but what you do with it. That determines who the best beast is." The other beasts heeded what he said for but a moment before Gyuki immediately shouted, "I have more tails than you, and my tailed beast bombs are even more powerful than Kurama's. I win." They began to fight again, so Kurama walked away and went back to his special place to rest. Hagoromo would walk over to him, having heard what he said. "You're correct, Kurama," he said as he placed his hand on the fox's head. "Be patient with them," he continued. "They haven't lived the same life you have. They simply do not know, but give them time. With your guidance, life will teach them the wisdom they reject now." Kurama nodded. "I just hope they learn it before it's too late." Hagoromo looked at Kurama with a smile. "If they learn it late, then it is no fault of yours. Some things are meant to happen, even things we might consider bad. Because sometimes the things that are bad lead us to better outcomes. Let them grow at their own pace, and you continue to grow at yours." Kurama let off a nod. But this time of peace, even if a good reset for Kurama, could not last forever. And the worst part was, he knew about it. Kurama, though he never said it, knew the exact day, the exact hour of Hagoromo's death. But this didn't mean he didn't prepare, because he began to tell Hagoromo of certain events that would happen, and gave him the option to change it. The idea that giving Ashura the sageship over Indra would cause such conflict astounded Hagoromo, and it led him to believe that he made the proper decision on who to give it to. However, Kurama instead would tell him something different. "Papa, you shouldn't exclude Indra." "Oh? It's not that I wish to, but if the darkness that exists within him continues to exist while he's a sage, he will destroy everything I've built." Kurama would nod. "You spent many years fighting for and building up this order of shinobi, and you should be proud, but don't be blinded to Indra's own efforts and suffering. You see, for his entire life, he's done everything in his power to become an acceptable son to you, studying his hardest in an effort to be accepted. I believe what drove him to darkness isn't that he wasn't the sage, but that despite everything, he still felt as though you did not accept him. It made him feel as though his life's work was for nothing, and that filled him with bitterness, not only at Ashura, but at you, and at Ninshu as a whole. Not because he hated these things, but because these things hurt him more than he could express. And in an attempt to heal, he began holding a grudge. I can understand these feelings because there was a time when I was in a similar boat. So I implore you, please, don't leave Indra out. So many people will die if you do. He's not a bad person, he just doesn't yet know how to deal with disappointment. Go easy on him. Hagoromo listened to what Kurama said. He sighed and he smiled. Your wisdom seems to transcend even mine, dear Kurama. I will take these things into account when I decide who will surpass me as the next sage. From there, Hagoromo would debate within himself what was the best course of action. He would see Indra study so hard while Ashura did basically nothing. Sitting down with his son, he would speak. Indra, why do you study so hard? The black-haired Indra, his crimson eyes displaying pridefully as if trying every which way to emulate his father, spoke. To be worthy of the position of sage, father. One day you will pass your legacy on to me, and I do not wish to be responsible for its failing. Hagoromo scooted forward. Why is it important for you to be the sage, though? Have you ever considered that I could choose Ashura, or even someone outside of my own bloodline? Indra's face displayed a level of shock and pain on it that was hard to hide. A visible gulp was seen in his throat, moving the cartilage around his larynx up for a moment. Hagoromo put his hand on his son's knee to bring him peace. I just want to know why you crave it so badly. If it's to prove yourself to me, you needn't do that. I see in your actions every day your dedication. I see how hard you try, how far you go to please me. I'm truly proud, but there are times when I want you to focus on you. When I want you to realize that perfection is unobtainable for us mortals. To realize it's okay to go have some fun. Look at your brother, for instance. He hardly studies at all, yet I remain proud of him because he understands at least one aspect of what I hope to teach. You understand the other half, and I feel you two could learn from each other. Father, why are you saying these things? Hagoromo looked down. I'm afraid that you two are slowly drifting apart. Your brother is like the sun, and you are like the moon. The earth requires both, but you shouldn't be far away. Even the sun and moon come together every once in a while to provide an event to the world that so many view as beautiful. I never want you to forget the importance of others. To carry everything on your shoulders is a weight neither you nor I can carry. You must learn to let go of the books and the continual physical training and learn to understand the importance of having fun, of building bonds and relationships, because so long as you believe that you can do everything yourself, you'll never reach the level I know you are capable of, the level of a true sage. But the moment you understand that you don't have to be perfect, the moment you learn to spread the weight and to let go of any and all pride, in the day you learn these things, as Ashura has, I will know that you've reached your fullest potential. And the moment that Ashura learns to be as disciplined and as determined as you, I will know that he too has reached his fullest potential. I suppose if I am to say what I want to say simply, it would be for you and your brother to learn from each other. I believe that there are two sages in my family line, not one. And I believe that if you two come to terms with that and understand to kill off your own motivations for the sake of everyone, it will work out perfectly. Pulling his son into a hug, he spoke. I am already so proud of you, Indra. You've reached the absolute in your studies. Now it's time for you to reach the absolute in your play. Remember what it was to be a child, and remember what it was to have fun, and I feel you'll reach the balance that I hope so much for you to attain. So sit these dusty books aside. You've read them 3 too many times, and now it's time for you to play. It's time for Indra to be Indra, not Hagoromo. Giving his son a kiss on the forehead, he felt all of Indra's muscles loosen. I guess I could indulge a little. Hagoromo smiled. Go, my son. Join Ashura. Have fun to your heart's content. Indra would go to join his brother, and during this time, Indra would attempt to teach Ashura the things he did not know. It took some time, but their bond began to grow. Kurama watched all from within Hagoromo and began to think that it was likely that they would give up their feud. Maybe things would turn out okay after all. The time came where Hagoromo decided to pass his title on to both of them. To Indra, he gave the yin energy, which allowed for Indra's Sharingan to awaken into Rinnegan, just like his father's. This gave joy to Hagoromo. You look just like I did at your age. I see the wisdom in you, and the caring nature forming. Remember your strengths, but also your weaknesses, and never be afraid to ask someone for help. In covering the weaknesses of others with your strength, we form a well-rounded society. And to Ashura he gave the Yang energy. That gave to Ashura truth-seeker orbs and awakened in him the power of wood release. The Kunitsukami, the guardian of the land, was Ashura's, and the Susanoo, the storm guardian of the heavens, that was for Indra. The two of them together were to complement each other, and together lead the path forward into peace. And as the sage passed away, both Indra and Ashura remained close by his side. Kurama and the other tailed beasts were then freed from his body and allowed to wander outside of the sage in the world again. How long had it been since Kurama had this level of freedom? To exist outside of a person and have real legroom, enough to run and play, enough to enjoy his life, enough to exercise. And though he missed the sage and missed Naruto, he continued to live his life and enjoyed each moment as it came. He began to worry though. What if what he had done had altered the future so much that, what if? Kurama shook his head. Surely Naruto will be born. After all, he is the reincarnation of Ashura. And then another realization hit him. Indra only reincarnated out of hatred, and Ashura only reincarnated to stop Indra's reincarnations from destroying everything. What if they don't reincarnate? Well, Kurama was right about some things and wrong about others. One particular thing he got wrong was the manner of their reincarnation. Neither Ashura nor Indra ever did reincarnate in a literal fashion. Their reincarnation was solely based upon their will being passed down to a new generation, who also happened to be born with a chakra near identical to that of the two boys. This did not mean that they couldn't reincarnate again, nor did this mean that Naruto would not be born. This didn't stop Kurama from worrying about it though. But besides these things, Kurama came to realize that some things just don't work out the way you'd expect them to. Despite the fact that Indra and Ashura died as brothers, close and remaining in touch until their last breaths, this didn't mean that their families remained friends. The Senju clan and the Uchiha, while remaining close, weren't the only clans in existence, and wars began to pop up across the world. Why? Because even if chakra was meant to bring people together, it could be used as a weapon, and inevitably there would be those who would choose to use it as such. And because destruction was easier than creation, the people would fall into cycles of conflict. Kurama did his best to mediate an end to these wars. However, despite these things, wars continued to be waged, and one day two great warriors would be born of two very close families. These two would be known as Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju. The two sons of the sage, their chakra reformed within these two. This brought hope to Kurama that he might one day see Naruto born. He craved and desired to see his friend again. Together, Hashirama and Madara would fight, and through the mutual shedding of blood, sweat, and precious tears, the two's bond would grow deeper until the point that Madara, through sharing of chakra, would awaken the Rinnegan, and Hashirama would awaken the Sage Mode of the Sage of Six Paths. Together, remembering what it was that the sage desired from the world, Hashirama and Madara would form a new village that would be known as the Hidden Leaf. The village was designed to be a beacon of hope to all who saw it, a beacon of peace and security. Together, the two leaders would work to bring an end to the conflicts that spanned the globe. Kurama would be pleased by this. Eventually, due to the formation of Konoha, many friendly clans would come under the same alliance, which would see the wars swiftly come to an end, as the power of many transcended the power of the few. Peace was restored, but for how long? The other rival clans, who could not stand up against the power of the Hidden Leaf, would lay low. They too sought an alliance, but they would rather die than join Konoha and feel as though they were conquered. So, the fractured shinobi world would proceed to slowly coalesce into various villages, the greatest of them all being Konoha, Suna, Iwa, Kiri, and Kumo. The various villages began to slowly attempt to collect tailed beasts. Suna would be the first to collect Shukaku. Kurama knew that this would not end well for his brother, as they would mistreat him. Kurama even considered rescuing him, though he couldn't, as by the time he showed up, Shukaku had already been taken from his temple. Not long after did the Gold and Silver brothers appear. They sought Kurama for their village, to make him their power. Kurama would confront them. He recalled their last battle. During that time, Kurama in his pride had dared to eat the two, thinking that that would be the end of it. But he did not realize that they were so closely connected to the Sage of Six Paths. He could not digest them, and worse still, they began attempting to eat their way out of him, which left Kurama ill to the mount of vomiting. And though he had not been captured by the Gold and Silver brothers, something almost as bad had occurred from this, in that they had absorbed enough of his chakra to become capable of taking on a sort of pseudo-tailed beast mode. Their survival, the power stolen from Kurama, had been what led to the demise of Tobirama Senju, the second Hokage. Furthermore, their impure reincarnations had been sacrificed to the Ten Tails in an effort to awaken it without the full Nine Tails. Kurama knew that he could not let this happen again. Regardless of what transpired, he would not devour them. He would not let them take his power, because if they did, many bad things would come of it. "Why have you come here before me?" he asked them, as if he didn't already know. "To capture you. You're a powerful beast, capable of wiping out entire villages. To have such a power as that in our village will grant us a power that none could ever dare to dispute." Kurama stood there, ready to fight. Looking them over, he began to remember why they were sent to capture him. They possessed the treasured tools of the Sage of Six Paths, including the Benihisago and the Kohaku no Johei, both of which were powerful sealing tools that could easily capture him and keep even Kurama inside. Kurama would slowly move around. The issue these two would face would be that Kurama knew how to use the tools as well, and because of that, their job was not as easily said as done. But there was still a threat to Kurama, as these two vessels preyed upon subconscious actions, such as saying a certain word that one used quite a bit, or simply answering when called. These two, when used in conjunction, would force one to speak, punishing them if they did not, while the other would punish the user if they did speak. Together, the items were a losing battle, but Kurama would be able to watch out for the triggers. He would just need to remain vigilant. The two began to prepare for battle. Kinkaku possessed the golden rope, Kokinjo, as well as the Benihisago and the Bashosen. On the other hand, Ginkaku possessed the Kohaku no Johei as well as the Shichisaiken. These two would work well together. It was to be the most intense battle Kurama had experienced in years, and unless the Fourth Shinobi World War or Ishiki Otsutsuki appeared again, it would likely be the greatest battle he'd ever face. His eyes filled with determination, Kurama would prepare for battle. Kinkaku and Ginkaku began to make their moves, growing closer. Kinkaku would attempt to keep Kurama's attention while his brother prepared to set up the Kohaku no Johei. The way that Kinkaku would do this is with the Bashosen, which would create all 5 simple nature transformations. With it, Kinkaku would create wind release to blow Kurama back, uprooting many trees in the process. He followed this up by creating an electric surge that would shock Kurama. There was no choice but to fight with everything he had. He knew that this battle could very well change the face of the land forever, scarring it, but some sacrifices just needed to be made, and this was one of them. Kurama formed a tailed beast ball in his mouth, firing it at Kinkaku. Kinkaku would dodge, but it would also rush towards Ginkaku, attempting to disrupt his work. Confronted with death, Ginkaku would decide to delay his work by moving to a new location. All the while, Kinkaku would begin to ready the Kokinjo. He would crack it at Kurama, trying to keep his attention. Kurama knew that if he was ever touched by that rope, it would pull out his most used word. Suddenly, he heard a voice call out to him. Kurama was smart though. That voice was the Kohaku no Johei attempting to seal him by getting him to speak. Ginkaku would then come through wielding the Shichisaiken. Kinkaku and Ginkaku would then trade weapons, the Shichisaiken for the Kokinjo. Now they were more balanced. Using the Bashosen to cause the stones to rise as massive boulders, Kurama felt them smash into him like the many pellets of buckshot from a shotgun. He felt the stones tear into his side, drawing blood from his ribs. A second wave struck him in the legs before Kinkaku created a flood of water to wash Kurama off his feet. The point of the attacks were to immobilize Kurama, if even for just a moment. It worked. Ginkaku with the Kokinjo would proceed to bind Kurama with the golden rope and begin to pull out his most used word, which was I. Kurama had never truly realized how selfish he had been in his life until he realized that the word he used the most was a word referring solely to himself. Kinkaku would then use the Shichisaiken to sever his word from him and put it into the Benihisago. From here on, anytime Kurama referred to himself, he would be in danger, but there was a slight bit of advantage in that the Kohaku no Johei would try to get him to answer by referring to himself. If he said I or his own name, or even made reference to himself in any way, he'd be sealed away. And even still, he couldn't remain completely silent, as doing so would cause the Benihisago to default and seal him away. So Kurama remembered who and what he was fighting for and proceeded to use that word instead. Naruto, he said. Naruto, he repeated. Ginkaku and Kinkaku were confused as to why Kurama would be speaking part of the word that comprised the name of the fish cake found often in ramen noodles. They assumed it was an attempt to not give in to any of the two sealing jars. They had no idea how deep the meaning was, but all the same, they reached the realization that Kurama knew what these tools were and how to avoid them. So they needed to do everything in their power to force him to stop paying attention to the two jars, or he would never slip up. They needed to up the ante. They further began yelling toward him questions and challenging his pride, threatening him even. "What in the world is a Naruto?" they asked him. "Do you mean a fish cake? You like fish cakes? We'll give you all the fish cakes you want in Kumogakure. Just surrender," they shouted. "Naruto," Kurama whispered again, remembering his dedication. He, finally back on his feet properly, began to rush at the two. "Kill you," he shouted at them, neglecting to mention his own self. "Die!" His 9 tails beautifully swayed through the air before quickly and violently smashing the ground before him like whips attempting to smash them. "Naruto," he shouted. "Love Naruto. Fight for Naruto," he said, reminding himself further. Kinkaku and Ginkaku released 4 stacks of paper bombs before Kinkaku used the Bashosen to summon a gust of wind. The wind pushed the paper bombs toward Kurama where they stuck to his fur. The two would raise their fingers into a half ram sign, causing the bombs to detonate. Kurama cried out in pain and agony as he felt bits of his flesh being burnt up and split open by the incendiary and concussive blasts generated from these weapons. Laying on the ground for a moment, he felt his body jarred from the attack. That's when Kinkaku spoke. "Hold up. This Naruto you speak of, it's not a fish cake, is it?" Kurama opened his eyes to look at Kinkaku as he spoke. "Naruto is a person. A weirdly named person, yes?" Looking into Kurama's eyes, Kinkaku spoke. "So it is, huh? Who names the kid Naruto? It's just so stupid." Kurama began to sit up, becoming more visibly agitated. "So tell me, what clan is this Naruto from? Is he Uchiha? Senju? Maybe Sarutobi? Uzumaki?" There was a sudden flare of fear in Kurama's eyes. Kinkaku noticed it. "Uzumaki," Kinkaku said. "I see. Naruto Uzumaki. Someone you care for deeply in the Uzumaki clan. Strange, I didn't think beasts had such emotional aptitude." Kinkaku offered a slight chuckle alongside his brother for a moment. Kinkaku then began to speak. "You know, I'll find Naruto. I'll find him and kill him." Kurama smiled. "Good luck. Naruto's out of your reach. You'll never find him." Kinkaku then spoke. "If he's in hiding, that'll do him no good. If I kill every Uzumaki that exists, then I'll surely kill your precious Naruto eventually." Kurama was nervous for a moment before his smirk returned. "You could never stand against the Uzumaki. You don't have the power to," he said. Kinkaku and Ginkaku laughed again. "Funny you should say that." Suddenly, the two of them shifted into their version 2 chakra cloaks. Kurama was surprised by this turn of events. They weren't supposed to have that power until after he ate them. "Where did you get that power?" Kurama asked. "Did you think we only ever came after you?" Ginkaku said. "There are more tailed beasts that Kumo has desired to collect. Among them is a certain tentacled ox that has long since fallen into our possession. And let me tell you, fried octopus has long since become one of my favorite meals. So tell us now, do you think we bluff when we say that we'll destroy the Uzumaki clan down to their last drop of blood?" Kurama was suddenly filled with terror. What if he failed here? What if they got away and proceeded to kill every member of the Uzumaki, including Kushina's parents? Without Kushina, there'd be no Naruto. Kurama felt his fur standing on end. "You dare touch them and what? What will you do?" they asked. Kurama then spoke. "Touch them and..." He stopped. He smiled. "Touch them and kill you," he said. Kinkaku and Ginkaku grit their teeth. Kurama was far more than just another beast. He was smart. "Okay, I guess we'll have to force you to beg for mercy." Kurama grinned brightly. "We'll show you why other tailed beasts are weaker." Kurama rushed toward them. These two perhaps possessed a version 2 cloak, but they were not the same strength as the one they took it from. And even if they were, Kurama was still quicker. Kurama would come upon them quickly, and for some time they went back and forth. The power of 2 versus the power of 1 felt as though it could push Kurama to the edge, but that being said, Kurama was at least twice as strong as even the strongest tailed beast, so with his great power, he would demolish the two brothers before also claiming their tools. With the battle over, Kurama returned to his rest, keeping control of the 5 items they left behind. Eventually, he would recognize that the time had come for him to seek out Hashirama Senju, and so he would load up the things he wished to bring as a peace offering and would say goodbye to his forest home for quite some time. As he made it to the village, he stayed quite some distance from the areas where people lived. His mere presence was enough to cause panic in the peoples of Konoha, which Kurama understood was the price of his daunting size, but he called for the leaders of that village, to which the best-trained shinobi would prepare the way for. At some time after, Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju would appear. Both had such magnificent auras about them, and with their arms crossed together as if this was just another Monday, they continued to farm it. "You asked for us," Madara asked. To some degree, Kurama felt an anger run down his spine, remembering what this man had done to him in another timeline. However, that was nothing anymore. Indra had changed, and so too should Madara have. Despite that, looking at the two, Kurama knew that even one of them alone could kick his rear end. They were a totally different level from the Gold and Silver brothers. They were more on the level of Hagoromo and Hamada, to which they and the others in this village were closely descended from. "I come to speak of important matters," Kurama said. "Speak at your leisure. We are here to listen," Hashirama said. Kurama remembered how respectful Hashirama was. It reminded him of Naruto in a way. That being said, it was different enough because there was a bit more confidence in there that could translate to pride if Hashirama was not careful. Kurama continued, "I've come to realize something. This world's villages have begun to enslave my brothers and sisters as weapons," he said. "The other-tailed beasts have been captured by villages seeking retribution against you, and in that way they'll come and destroy all that you've built." Madara then spoke. "For what reason did you come to tell us this, though? What is it that you desire? What could you gain by saving us?" Hashirama spoke. "Quiet, Madara. We do not wish to offend him. He's doing us a service, and we should be grateful." Madara spoke again. "Do not take my skepticism as a lack of gratitude. We would be naive to think that he would do something so kind for us without any reward." "Madara!" Hashirama shouted, trying to stop his friend from accidentally hurting the feelings of the Nine-Tails. Kurama raised his hand. "It's all right, Hashirama. Your friend is in many ways correct. In this world, among these people, it can be hard to accept something as free, even if some things are. That being said, perhaps I too have my reasons for coming here." Madara smirked triumphantly. He was right, and he was glad to know that Hashirama now knew it too. "What is it that you want?" Hashirama asked. "I've come to offer you these." He gave them the 5 weapons of the Gold and Silver brothers. "These are powerful tools used by the Sage of Six Paths, originally held by Ginkaku and Kinkaku, descendants of him. I now offer you these, and in exchange I ask to be sealed into one of your people." Everyone was now confused. You seek to be sealed away? Why would you attempt to make a deal like that? I don't see how you gain anything," Hashirama said. Kurama nodded. "In your eyes, it may seem that I lose everything, but to me, I gain everything. Listen, there are stipulations. I cannot just be sealed into anyone. There's a certain thing I desire. I must only be sealed into an Uzumaki from this point on. So long as the Uzumaki exist, I wish to be sealed into one of them." "The only Uzumaki in this village is your..." Madara trailed off as Hashirama nodded. "Why would you ask for this?" he asked. Kurama then spoke. "Because much like you, there are some in this village that I care deeply for. I wish to join you and to protect that which you protect. But I crave for my Jinchuriki to be Mito Uzumaki. Furthermore, after her there will be a girl born named Kushina Uzumaki. She'll be a transfer student from Uzoshiogakure, and she'll be my next vessel. And then, from her, there will be another. A very special young man who I care for very much like family. I love him more than I love myself, and wish to be sealed into him most of all." "You said these people as if they don't currently exist. How do you know that they will?" Hashirama asked. "I know because I have seen the future. I know what will come and when. You could say it's as if I've already lived a life with these people, and I wish to do so again. In exchange, I'll be a guardian protector for your village. I hope my proposal is something you will allow." Hashirama Senju stood there thinking about it. Madara drew closer to Hashirama before turning his face from Kurama to speak in a way that Kurama could neither hear nor see. Their conversation went on for some time. Hashirama then spoke. "Will you give me a few hours to speak with Mito? I am unsure if you're aware, but Mito is my wife, and I will not be willing to do this to her without her permission. Am I allowed time to ask her?" Kurama nodded his head. "Yes, you may speak with her, and ask her if she's okay with it. I'll remain here tonight. I will speak with you either tomorrow or whenever you're ready to finalize our contract." Hashirama nodded his head, and together with Madara and the other shinobi, retreated back to the village. Kurama waited outside for quite some time. He did not know when they'd be back, but he waited silently for them to arrive. At about an hour before midnight, Hashirama and his shinobi returned, Mito in tow. Kurama rose up once more. Hashirama stepped forward. "Great Ninetales, I would like for you to meet my wife, Mito Uzumaki." The woman stepped forward. Kurama offered a bow of his head in respect. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Mito Uzumaki. I'm the Nine-Tailed Fox, though you may call me Kurama," he said. "My husband tells me that you wish to be sealed into me specifically, and won't be pleased any other way. Is there a particular reason why this is?" she asked. Kurama nodded. "There are things I doubt I can ever say that would allow you to understand why I would like to do this." "Try me," Mito said. Kurama decided that the best way to do this was to be honest with her. "You see, I am a product of the Sage of Six Paths. I knew Hagoromo personally, and some of his power does flow through my veins. In another place in time, I fought alongside many great warriors, but when my time came, and I died in battle, I found my soul returned to the point of my creation, to relive my life all over again. If it helps you understand better, you may think of it like a very powerful space-time ninjutsu. For that reason, I know you already, and those who will come after you. During my original time with you, I did not ever truly come to understand or care for you. In the world of my origin, I was imprisoned against my will, and as such, I became bitter toward not only you, but toward humanity as a whole. But through you, and those who would later come, I came to realize the truth of my life and what it was all about. For the sake of protecting the world and protecting your village, I would like to donate myself to its service. But I ask for one thing in return. I wish to be sealed into those that I had in times past been sealed into, so that I may fulfill my desire of close, true friendship. With you, Miss Mito. With Ms. Kushina Uzumaki, who is yet to be born. And eventually with young Naruto, the one who would become my best friend, my brother even." Kurama lowered his head to her level. "So, Miss Mito, I suppose what I'm asking is, will you allow me to become your faithful friend? I will honor and respect both you and your privacy upon command. All I ask is that when you do not require privacy, that you maybe spend some time with me and let me grow closer to you. And in return, I will protect you and your village from threats domestic and foreign, from the present until the future unseen. Will you accept my hand of friendship?" Mito stood there, astounded by the things Kurama said. Choosing to trust him, she stepped forward and put her hand upon his nose. "Yes, Lord Kurama, I will gladly be your friend." Kurama smiled. "Great. So, first things first, you could stop calling me Lord Kurama. Just Kurama's fine." Mito offered a silent chuckle. "If that is what you desire, Kurama." And so the sealing team was brought out. As Mito laid there, Kurama also sat awaiting the moment. "Are you nervous?" she asked. "To be sealed inside of me like this. Will you not miss your freedom?" Kurama thought about it. "Honestly, when I truly came to understand the Jinchuriki I was sealed inside of, such a mutual bond of trust was formed to the point that I was allowed to come and go as I pleased. I know such a thing will not be available to us as we start, but I hope to lay the foundations of trust, in that one day I too will be able to freely come and go. I suppose what I seek the most is a bond with the people I care about. And though I can understand that you're skeptical of me due to never having met me, I've certainly met you before, and I care deeply for you, for your family, and for those who you will mentor. I feel truly blessed to have this second chance to meet you, a second chance to befriend you, a chance I squandered once before." "You sound like a very honorable person, Kurama. I look forward to the start of our relationship." And with that, they began the procedure. It took many powerful shinobi due to the strength and power of the Ninetales, but eventually he was sealed away within Mito. From here on, the world would begin to change. With the proliferation of the tailed beasts, other villages became bold, believing that they now possessed the firepower required to challenge even the great village Konoha. This led to a new world war, to which the bonds between clans were tested. It was through this war that the bonds between Kurama and Mito were also tested. Through mutual trust, they worked side by side to defend the village. "If I ask one thing," Kurama told the Hokage, I would ask that you defeat the Jinchuriki of these other nations and bring the tailed beasts to the land of fire to be protected, he said. They are my brothers and sisters, and the other nations will not treat them with as much respect as you would. I wish to free them from their burdens and remind them of a love that can spawn between beast and man. And so that was what Hashirama and Madara began to do. Through their hard work, the tailed beasts were freed from their hosts, and with Kurama's words towards them, he convinced them to seek refuge in a village that could and would offer them mutual trust and respect. It was a bit harder of a feat to do, but he convinced quite a few of them to do as he asked. With their freedom attained, the beasts would listen to what Kurama would often say to them, and due to his words they'd be pacified and opt to give humanity another chance. After all, it was strange to them to see Kurama possess a Jinchuriki as he did, but be offered as much freedom as he had. He didn't seem like a slave to Mito, but instead a partner who was allowed to leave whenever he pleased, and upon seeing how strong their bond was, the other tailed beasts began to crave something similar. Kurama would talk to the new Hokage about it, Tobirama Senju, who would have surpassed Hashirama due to the latter's untimely death. In accordance with their deal, the Uzumaki were to remain the personal vessels of Kurama. The other beasts were free to choose their own Jinchuriki as they pleased. From this, Konoha became the strongest village in the world, and with their great power attempted to keep order. As time passed, however, Mito Uzumaki began to grow old, and it became clear that her time was coming to an end. It was bittersweet. Kurama hated to say goodbye to her, but couldn't help but admit that the two of them had such wonderful memories together. Just as Kurama said, a girl named Kushina Uzumaki decided to come to Konoha to study at the academy in hopes of becoming the next Hokage, the first woman Hokage. She is the one I wish to be sealed into next, he said. And so Mito was brought in to mentor Kushina. They were cousins, even if distantly. This made them family. And as Mito and Kushina spoke, she would slowly bring Kushina up to speed about what her job would soon be. The Ninetales is the crown jewel of Konoha's might, and the symbol of our power to the world, but he's so much more than that. His name is Kurama, and he is the purest, kindest soul I've ever met. When I first came to know him, I was quite scared of him and what he was capable of. But through the battles we fought, the wars we waged, I came to realize just how valuable of a friend he is. Kurama, would you like to say hello? At about this moment, a very small fox seemed to light upon Mito's shoulder. He, for a moment, seemed shy upon looking at Kushina. He recalled how he had killed her, despite how kind and sweet of a girl she was. Mito took him from her shoulders and turned him to face her. She offered him to Kushina to hold. Kushina was slightly afraid. After all, imagine if someone's pet dog was also strapped with a nuclear weapon. You could imagine her hesitation. But despite this, she was very courageous and kept an open mind. Hello, Kurama managed to get out. Hello, Ninetales. My name is Kushina. It's an honor to meet you. Kurama smiled a bit. The honor is mine. Please, feel free to call me Kurama. That's my name. Kushina smiled. Okay, Kurama. Mito found a smile upon seeing the two bond. Every time Kushina would come over to see Mito to learn from her, Kurama would be given to Kushina to begin building the bond the two of them had. Kushina would come to enjoy spending time with the little fox, giving him lots of head pats because he was, in her words, a good boy. Even if such a thing was demeaning to a creature so much stronger and more intelligent than Kushina, it mattered little to him, as he loved spending his time that he had squandered with her. As time passed, though, Mito's age would begin to cause her body to fail. One evening, as she was at home, she suffered a massive heart attack. To most, they knew that such a thing would normally kill anyone else, and that her survival could only be attributed to Kurama. Kurama stayed by her side the whole time, tears falling from his face as he knew the end of his time with Mito had finally arrived. Mito would pat his head with what little strength she had left. It's okay, Kurama, she said. It may hurt. You may feel pain now, but remember, pain is the tool with which we determine the shape of love. I will always be with you. I will always love you, she said. Kurama would nod. Kushina would eventually be brought in during the night, having been awakened from her sleep just for this moment. Mito would offer her love to Kushina, telling her that she was glad to meet her and was proud of her. She told Kushina not to be sad, nor to be afraid. Everything was going to be okay. The same words she used to comfort Kurama, she used to comfort Kushina, and so the ritual began. Placing the seal upon Kushina, they opened both and began the transfer. Kurama would quickly find himself in a new place. Mito would smile and speak, telling Kushina and Kurama that she was pleased to have met them both and was now free to join Hashirama. Closing her eyes, she breathed no more. Kushina did indeed take this hard, but managed to recover. Kurama had a harder time doing so, even though he knew it was coming for some time. Kushina would take the little fox up in her arm, tell him that his heart was as big as the nature from which his form drew its shape. Together, the two would live together. Kushina and Kurama became a force to be reckoned with. Through Kushina's youthful nature, she ended up coaxing Kurama more than once into pranks and small acts of vandalism for the sake of fun. Yeah, the village really began to think bringing Kushina in and giving her the Nine Tails was a bad idea. More than one evening was spent by them cleaning up the messes they made. It was only fair that they did so. However, as all this happened, the village's enemies began to grow restless. Every tailed beast in the world was now under the roof of Konoha. Beyond that, they had a monopoly on the 3 great dojutsu as well, meaning it just seemed like they could not be challenged. The only way to challenge them was to capture at least one beast under their control, but which beast was worth capturing the most? Well, the answer was simple: the Nine Tails. The Nine Tails was still the strongest tailed beast, and it was believed that its power was great enough that should any other tailed beast be brought before it, all of them even, the Nine Tails would still win. And so, Kumogakure, the most headstrong of all enemy villages, set about attempting to capture the Nine Tails and its vessel, Kushina. The thing about that is, Kurama had plenty of strength to keep Kushina from being captured, but instead, he allowed it to happen. They tried to cast her under Genjutsu, but such a thing was futile. Only the strongest of Genjutsu could ever cast them both under an illusion. To that end, Kushina would ask Kurama to do something, but he told her to trust him and instead leave a trail of her own hair. Kushina had learned to trust Kurama, so she did so. The longer she did, the more confused she grew, but eventually the shinobi kidnapping her would be taken down one by one, and Kushina would be rescued by the young man named Minato Namikaze. "Why did you ask me to do this? To meet this boy?" she asked Kurama. Kurama offered only a smile before speaking. "I was testing to see if he was still just as dedicated. After all, I can tell you two have a thing for each other. You both simply don't realize it." Kushina would be surprised. "Mito said you wouldn't intrude on private things," she said. Kurama let off a chuckle. "Normally I do respect such boundaries, but this one's important to me." "Why?" Kushina asked. Kurama spoke. "Remember when I said I'd seen the future?" Kushina nodded. "Some things shouldn't change. Ever. This was one of them. In the previous timeline, I couldn't help you because the seal was stronger. This time I could, but I felt it was important for you to be rescued by Minato. Because I know how you feel about him. I can sense your heartbeat." Kushina began to grow redder in both anger and embarrassment. Kurama then spoke. "Calm down, Ku." She let him have it, bringing up a knot on his head. "Ouch," he muttered as he sat there for a moment. "In all seriousness though, Kushina, I know there's a seed inside of you, a seed of love. You really like him, and I know for a fact that he likes you. I know I shouldn't encroach on such things. After all, this is something that you should discover yourself. But the thing is, I've seen the future, and I know there's one person in this world who makes you happier than even I can, and you haven't yet discovered it. But I don't want the changes I've made in my life to take that away from you." Kushina began to feel bad for slapping Kurama silly. She pulled him up in her lap. "I guess I can make an exception for you, Kurama. After all, I guess you do know best sometimes." Kushina would continue to pet him. "So, what should I do?" Kurama then spoke. "You should be honest with him and tell him how you feel." "That's a bit nerve-wracking. I mean, what if he doesn't like you? Do you not remember who you're talking to? I've seen the future, and I can tell you now, he likes you. So what are you waiting for? Just tell him. Don't beat around the bush, but try not to come across too strong. Just simply tell him about how you feel the same way you told me. He'll understand." Kushina thought about it and took a deep breath. "You're right. You're always right." Kurama smiled. "Atta girl. Now go knock him dead." Kushina would eventually confess her feelings to Minato and would be surprised to hear that he reciprocated. Once again, though, the Hokage would pass away, leaving an elderly Madara alone. That was when Hiruzen would take his place. Despite his age, Madara was sharp as a whip. He just needed someone to help him with, bathroom things. All the same, Hiruzen made for a good Hokage who respected the wisdom of his elder. From here, Minato continued his career as a shinobi, all while trying to balance his relationship with Kushina. The two continued to date for some time until Minato and Kushina were both sure that they were ready. From then, Minato would propose marriage, something that brought Kurama immense joy. Kushina would eventually marry and begin to live with Minato. But a time came when Madara would pass away from old age, and the role he fulfilled would be left open. The question was, who would fill that role? There were two candidates according to Hiruzen, that being Fugaku Uchiha and Minato himself. However, the longer that Hiruzen remained in office, the more he came to realize that he wasn't as cut out for it as he thought. And so, for the sake of the village, and for the sake of his own desire to simply retire, he would do exactly that, and name Minato and Fugaku both as the next Hokages. But during this wondrous time, another miracle was taking place inside of Kushina. The conception of a very special boy in the heart of Kurama. Kurama kept close to Kushina the whole time of Naruto's conception. He would often feed some of his own chakra into the unborn child to strengthen it and keep it healthy, while also doing the same for Kushina. This was a very important part of Kurama's life, and he wanted it to go well. And thus, one night in October, a certain child was born. As Kushina held the baby boy in her arms, she was so glad. "What do you wish to name the child?" Biwako asked. "Naruto," Kurama said quickly. He then looked up to see the rest of the group looking at him. "Sorry." Biwako looked at Minato and Kushina. Minato then spoke. "It is true though. Kushina and I settled on the name Naruto." "Why that?" silently judging the two new parents for cursing their son with such a laughable name. "It's special to us." As Kushina held the child in her arms, Kurama drew just a little closer. Extending out his paw, he touched the child and spoke. "Hi, Naruto. It's been a long time. Tears began to fill his eyes and he smiled. "I missed you so much." "Are you sure this is such a good idea?" Kurama asked. The little blonde kid looked exactly like his father, but there was no doubt that he was a mama's boy. Today was April 1st, and you know what that meant. It was time to play some pranks. Naruto had been out since midnight, having snuck out of his room, and even now the sun was beginning to rise, and they were almost finished. "If you didn't want to be a part of it, you should have stopped me before I left," the boy said. "Would you have stopped if I had?" Kurama asked. Naruto thought about it for a moment before laughing. "No, I guess I wouldn't have." Naruto pulled away from the Hokage's monument. He'd been nervous for how it might turn out, but it seemed there was an artistic streak in Naruto, and he was more than able to pull off this prank alone. "Wow, you actually made it look good. How did you do that?" Kurama asked. "A little practice," Naruto said. And as the sun rose and the villagers awakened, they saw what transpired. Upon each of the statues of the Hokage monument, there was a wild and detailed mustache painted on, bushy toward the lip, but turning into a curl at the edges of the mouth. It looked like some mustache from an old silent film about a villain tying a damsel in distress to a railway. All 6 faces were possessing a mustache, including Fugaku and Minato's faces. As Naruto admired the craftsmanship of his art in the newly risen sun, casting a bright yellow upon the rock face that had almost a green tint to it, he heard a voice cry out, "Hey, you! We've been made, Kurama! Let's get..." Naruto began to run away from the scene of the crime, but of course he would be caught. Before being brought before the Hokages, the shinobi accused Naruto of defacing the monument honoring greatness in a prank that went too far. Fugaku was not happy, of course. As a man with great pride in the village, he went to scold Naruto, but Minato stopped him. "It's okay, Fugaku. He is my son. I will handle his disobedience properly. I just wish to speak with him alone." Fugaku held his tongue and sighed. "I suppose this is a family matter as much as it is a village matter. You take the lead, but make sure things get set right, okay?" Minato nodded. Fugaku left the room, closing the door behind him. "Naruto!" Minato shouted, attempting to get his son's attention. Naruto, having flinched at the shouting of his name, turned toward his father. "Naruto, what you did today was wicked sick! How did you pull it off?" Naruto smiled. "It's something I've been planning for a while. I've been watching lots of videos about window cleaning for large buildings, like for skyscrapers." Note from us here at the Amagi, we probably don't have to tell our viewers this, but don't try any of this stuff you see on YouTube at home. Naruto's a real ninja who cut the moon in half. You are not. Remember to stay safe and not do anything nearly as dangerous as Naruto. Minato chuckled. Well, I think it's a pretty good prank. Reminds me of something your mother would do. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Well, I mean, Minato shook his head. Don't tell me, this was her idea? Naruto shrugged. I keep forgetting that since you two both now share Kurama, that you can talk to each other telepathically. Well, anyway, it's a good prank, but it will need to be cleaned up. You can enjoy it for today, but tomorrow, when you're rested enough, you gotta get out there and scrub it all off. Sound fair? Naruto nodded. Minato smiled. Now, off to school. Naruto would race off to the academy. Naruto, are you sure you're gonna be able to handle school? You haven't slept in over 24 hours. I'll be fine, Naruto said. Naruto slept through half the classes. When the final bell went off, he grabbed his bag and prepared for the last thing. It was a sort of after-school program he was a part of. Not exactly like he wanted to do anything else, but his mom kind of forced him, since she was, after all, the head of the program. Last to arrive, same as ever, Naruto stepped in and saw some of his other classmates there. Sasuke, Sakura, Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, Hinata, Shino, and Kiba. And with Naruto there, that made 9. Sitting in the room, which was little more than a repurposed supply closet that Kushina had redecorated to give the impression that it was quaint and cozy, as opposed to just the school not having enough funds to allocate the creation of a new classroom. Welcome, Naruto. You seem tired, Kushina said. Too many April Fool's pranks wear you out? She asked, tongue-in-cheek. Naruto took a seat. Kushina smiled. I'm happy to announce that my monitoring for an after-school Jinchuriki club was approved by the Hokages. Wasn't hard, I'm sure. One of them's your husband, Shikamaru said. Yes, that is true. However, Sasuke's dad also seemed to agree with it. It's a good idea for you kids to get to know your tailed beasts better, and to get to know each other. These beasts are more than a tool to the village. They're its greatest allies, and to be a Jinchuriki is a high honor. Not only do you have the unique position of being able to protect your village, you also get the privilege of getting to know, bond with, and befriend these intelligent and kind beasts. Kurama, would you like to take over? Kushina asked. Kurama appeared on Naruto's shoulder and jumped to Kushina's lap where he sat. Greetings, I'm Kurama, the nine-tailed fox, and I'm just gonna start by saying it's an honor to get to meet you all. I'm sure you're all gonna take good care of my brethren. Due to your statuses as Jinchuriki, you're free to, at any time, enter your own subconscious and speak with your beast. But even further, we-tailed beasts can grant you access to our subconsciousnesses. This allows you not only to talk to your own tailed beast, but also the tailed beasts of others, and their Jinchuriki as well. In doing so, you'll get to know your beast, its quirks, and how to make friends with them. I'm sure you all know them pretty well by this point, as you were specifically chosen for them, the 8 greatest candidates. But now I wish to show you how to deepen your relationship. Now, to begin, we attempt an exercise. I know this may be hard for some of you, but do your best, okay? Start by closing your eyes and emptying your minds. Each member of the club began to do this, as did Kushina. Kurama spoke. Now, turn your perception inward. Search for that chakra inside of you that's not you, but swirling around your own. Do you sense it yet? Each member nodded. Good, now focus on it. Reach out to it and merge with it. And in a moment, each student opened their eyes to see that they were within a very strange area. It was dark all around, illuminated by some invisible spotlight that they could not see. All 9 children and their chaperone were standing in a circle, and behind them was the large form of their tailed beast. Whoa, this is trippy, Kiba said as he looked at the 8-armed octopus ox behind him. This is the meeting place, Kurama said. This is the place where only the most trusted Jinchuriki are usually allowed to visit. But considering that you're all just starting out, this makes for a good show of trust. We trust that you each will treat us with respect and kindness, Kurama said. Now why don't we focus on the bond between Beast and Jinchuriki? We'll start from 1 tail and move to 9. Sound good? They nodded. Shukaku, why did you choose Shikamaru to be your Jinchuriki? I chose him because he's super smart. He reminds me of myself in that way. And like me, he was the best of the 9. This drew a bit of annoyance from the other beasts, but they let it go. And you, Matatabi? Kurama asked. The flaming cat behind Sasuke began to rub up against Sasuke. He's a cat person, I can tell, she purred. I also like how he sometimes wears kitty ears with his pajamas as he goes to bed at night. Sometimes he stands in front of a mirror and goes, Nyan. You wear kitty ears? Choji asked with a chuckle. Ino and Sakura both smacked Choji in the back of the head. Leave him alone. They then seem to kinda push up against Sasuke. Oh, it's so sweet. He's got such a kind heart. I don't do that, Sasuke shouted, all the while growing red. It was then that Kurama moved to the next. And you, Isobu? The mollusk, one eye closed, seemed to draw close to Sakura. She's so strong. She's kind to me, and I know she'll take care of and protect me, he said. Sakura began to stroke his head as it rubbed up against her before kissing it. This drew a smile from Kurama. Isobu might be the closest to understanding what it means to have a Jinchuriki, he thought. He turned to Son Goku. And what about you, Goku? Why did you choose Choji? The mighty monkey pounded its chest. Choji is the strongest. Nobody can push him around. When he sets his mind to it, he will do something. He's a real man. All the others around covered their ears due to the overwhelming sound of the tailed beast's voice. Everyone but Choji, who didn't want to risk missing a single word of praise from his tailed beast. He flipped a potato chip up into the air. Son Goku grabbed it and stuffed it into his face. Next was Kokuo. I chose Ino because of her grace. She's like a flower in that way, beautiful and majestic, kinda like me, but also like me, she has a bit of a temper that boils like water on the flames of passion. I can't help but identify. Then Saiken went. I like Hinata because she's soft-spoken. She's very anxious, but like me, she likes to calm down with a nice bubble bath with lavender-scented soap. I never have to buy shampoo so long as Saiken's around, Hinata said. It sounds like some of you have been bonding already. I'm glad to hear it, Kurama said. Chome, you're up. Chome spoke. He likes bugs. Below, Shino spoke. I like bugs. We're a match made in heaven, Chome finished off. Kurama chuckled. The Aburame clan has always been good with insects, and you being an insect yourself really does seem like you match with him the best. All the bugs under his skin are so nice, Chome said. They're very small, but very powerful. Shino has lots and lots of control over his chakra and his body. He has to, because if he didn't, he might accidentally kill the other bugs inside of him. Kurama smiled. I'm glad you two mesh so well, but let's give Gyuki a turn. Kurama turned to the Eight Tails. What do you like about Kiba? Gyuki sat there for a second. Well, I mean, I'm not sure what to say about him. I got last pick. That goes for the two of us, Kiba said. Now, don't be like that, you two, he said. What may seem like a bad pairing at first sometimes becomes the best. You just have to be open. Come on, there's gotta be something you like about each other. Gyuki thought for a second. No, not really. I kinda wish you were a dog, Kiba tacked on. Kurama let out a sigh. Looks like these two have a lot to work on, he said. Well, let's all begin. Take some time and spend it with your beast. Even if you don't think you've got much in common, try to bond. Do something together. Talk. Do anything constructive. At the end of the day though, Kiba and Gyuki never really seemed to hit it off. And so as they began to head home, Kurama stopped Kiba and Gyuki. You two, let me speak with you before you leave. The two stopped and looked at him. What is it, Kurama? Gyuki asked. You two seem to be the ones having the hardest time hitting it off, he said. I suggest that you go out on the town tonight. I don't know if I can. I've got a lot of homework to do, Kiba said. I can handle getting you out of that, Kushina said. What's important is that you two build up your bond. Kurama nodded. I'm sure there's a lot you two have in common. You just have to find it. Kurama then spoke. Remember when you first started bonding with Akamaru, Kiba? Well, do the same thing here, but with Gyuki instead. Kiba nodded. Gyuki seemed skeptical. You'll do fine, Gyuki. Just go out and have some fun. Maybe stop by an arcade, try out some of those retro video games. With as many tentacles as you've got, I'm sure you'll be good at it. Just try, okay? Gyuki sighed. If you say so, Kurama, but only because I trust you. And after that, the two left, leaving only Kushina and Naruto there with Kurama. Kurama jumped to Naruto's shoulder. Kushina smiled. You know, when Naruto was born, I knew you'd eventually favor him, she said. Kurama seemed a bit upset by her words. I'm sorry, Kushina. It's not that I simply like him more, it's complicated. I still try to spend as much time as possible with you. Kushina drew closer and gave a kiss to Naruto's cheek and then to Kurama's. It's okay, Kurama. Simply having a piece of you in me is enough. It still gives me connection to you. In a way, it's like we're still always together. Kurama licked her cheek, his way of offering a kiss. You and Mito will always be my first Jinchurikis. You two go home and rest. You've got a lot of work to do tomorrow. And so they left to go home, get supper, and get to bed early to catch up on a little sleep. The next day, they woke up and went downstairs to get breakfast. As they did though, Naruto stopped to see his mother on the phone. She was saying something, but he couldn't make it out. I know he left school at about 4:30 yesterday. Naruto didn't wish to intrude, so he grabbed some toast and jam and began to eat it as he left the house to begin cleaning the Hokage monument. Naruto was glad he took his mother's advice to use easy clean paint. Honestly, Naruto began to think it wouldn't be a big deal just to wait until the next rainstorm to remove it, as that would definitely work. But considering that it might not rain for the next week or so, it was best just to clean it off now. And so, Naruto hung from the monument under supervision. With Kurama aiding him in chakra generation, Naruto began to form water nature chakra and spray it from his mouth like a pressure washer. After an hour, he was done cleaning off the monument, just in time for him to make it to class. As he waited in the classroom, he couldn't help but feel that something was missing. As he waited in the class, he wasn't able to tell what, but he couldn't shake the feeling. As they then went to do their extracurricular activities, Naruto met with 7 of the other Jinchuriki and Kushina. Strangely, Sasuke was missing. Now, it wasn't required for any Jinchuriki to attend this class. It was strongly suggested, but they could take time off. After all, school life was hard, and asking a child to dedicate more of the precious little time they had to some after-school club if they didn't want to go was just a bit too cruel. But the look on everyone's face was grave. Naruto couldn't help but wonder what was up. Kurama appeared on Naruto's shoulder and jumped into Kushina's lap. He had emotion sense, which meant he immediately knew something was wrong. "What is it?" Kurama asked. "Something's wrong." Kushina then spoke. "I received word today from Makoto Uchiha that Sasuke never made it home last night." "What? Is he okay?" Kurama asked. Kushina shook her head. "We don't know. Fugaku is putting together a search party, and Minato is helping allocate resources to try and guess where he was." "That seems like a lot of effort to put toward one missing kid," Kiba said. "Not that I'm saying anything, I hope they find him." Shikamaru then cut in. "The reason why they're focusing so hard on finding Sasuke is because he's a Jinchuriki. He has a very powerful beast inside of him, and if he's missing, so too is the beast. For all we know, another village has captured him, so they're going out looking for him." "I wouldn't worry," Kushina said, trying to reassure all the children. "We have the greatest trackers in the village searching for Sasuke. I'm sure he'll be okay." Kurama sat there and thought on these things. He had never seen such a thing happen before. Not in the previous timeline, at least. In the previous timeline, the only time Sasuke went missing was when he joined Orochimaru, and Orochimaru was already dead, having been killed by Minato and Fugaku years earlier due to his ruthless experiments. There was no Akatsuki because Madara never turned evil, and that was because Kurama had killed that rivalry in the crib by stopping Indra from turning to evil. And because of that, Nagato would never have the Rinnegan. Kurama had sufficiently changed enough of history to change the course of the future. The question was, if Sasuke disappeared outside of his own volition, then who would have kidnapped him? Perhaps another nation. If that were so, why not try to take Naruto, who had the Nine Tails? After all, the Nine Tails was the strongest. Something didn't make sense. But all the same, Kurama decided to ignore it for now. It was equally possible that Sasuke simply disappeared because he was embarrassed that Matatabi had revealed his love of Neko ears. It would be highly irresponsible and frankly stupid if that were so, but considering that Sasuke was very young, it was possible that his emotions got the better of him. It was then that Kurama stood up on his hind legs and began to balance on one foot, keeping his front paws together. "All right, club. Today we're gonna try to stay healthy while connecting with each other. We're going to do yoga." "Is that where I gotta put my right hand on red and my left foot on green?" Choji asked. "No, idiot, that's Twister," Ino said. Kurama smiled. "We might play Twister later, too, if we've got enough time, and mats." After all this, they went home. It was quite a troubling thing on their minds with Sasuke still missing. Minato came home late that night, somewhat upset, having not been able to find him. The next morning, the same routine continued. However, something else was wrong. By the time they got to the club, it became obvious to everyone there that something was still wrong. Neither Ino nor Shikamaru were present. "Don't tell me," Kurama said. "These two disappeared too?" he asked. Kushina looked down with a sigh and rubbed her temples. "I don't know what's happening," she said. Looking around, Kurama began to see some of the children getting riled up, beginning to panic. What if I'm next was the thought on everyone's mind, and it was visible to Kurama just by looking at their faces. "What should we do?" Kurama asked. Kushina smiled at all of the kids. Just take a seat. Everything's gonna be okay. We are going to do our breathing exercises and try to refocus our minds. Minato called me just before the club met and asked me to hold you all here for the time being. He said he's going to send Anbu agents to personally escort each of us home. For now, we're to try our best to keep calm. Nothing bad is going to happen to anyone else. Lord Minato and Lord Fugaku will get to the bottom of this, and when they do, they'll rescue our missing teammates. When will the escorts be here? Sakura asked. Kushina took a deep breath and let it out. Probably very late. Much of our resources have been allocated to finding the others, but some resources should free up in a little while. So when they do, we'll be free to leave. Sound good? The kids nodded. And so from here, they just talked. Many of the kids were scared, quite a few silent. Hinata was the one most terror-struck of all. Are you okay? Saiken asked her. Hinata shook her head and hid her face. Tears began to pour down her cheeks. Sakura and Isobu drew closer, as did Kushina, Naruto, and Kurama. What's wrong with her? Choji asked in a hushed tone. Shino answered. When she was a little girl, shinobi from the hidden cloud attempted to kidnap her to take her eyes from her. She barely escaped alive, and her uncle had to die to keep peace between Konoha and Kumo, he said. Kiba then explained a bit more. She's been through something like this before. She's being forced to relive the most traumatic experience of her life. Choji understood and watched on in silence. In an uncharacteristically nice fashion, he came up to her and offered her some of his potato chips. I find that when I'm upset, food always helps. Maybe you could try some of my chips? She just shook her head. Kushina looked at the boy. Thank you very much, Choji. Hinata's just so upset, I don't think her body will allow her to eat right now. But you're a very kind boy to offer. Kiba watched her. Looking to Shino, he spoke. I know that Lord Minato and Fugaku are sending Anbu, but why don't we also escort her home? There's strength in numbers. If someone does come for her tailed beast, they'll have to go through you and me. Shino nodded silently. And so, as night fell, eventually the Anbu would show up to escort the kids home. As it turns out, they were planning all along to drop the kids off one by one, as it would be easier that way, as the massive Anbu agents would not need to be split up. This would increase intimidation factor. Naruto and Kushina would get to go home first, and Sakura would be next. Finally, poor Hinata got to return to her clan. All that was left was Kiba, Shino, and Choji. As the three boys were returning home with the Anbu escort, they conversed. I hope they find Shikamaru and Ino soon, he said. It's gonna be real hard being just the Cho trio by myself. That's not a tree. You know what, never mind, Kiba said. Shino kept his eyes open the whole time. Do you really think we're all targets? Kiba asked. It seems that way. 1 is nothing, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is intentional. All the missing children the past 2 days have been Jinchuriki. There's a high chance this means that all Jinchuriki are under threat. As they walked further, there was a sound of shuffling feet and sliding roof tiles. The whole group stopped. Guys, I don't think we're alone. Naruto and Kushina entered their house to see the lights already on. Within, there were 3 shinobi. Naruto's eyes lit up as soon as he saw them. Aunt Rin, Uncle Obito, Uncle Kakashi. He ran over. He jumped into Obito's arms. Obito swung him above his head, nearly taken out the chandelier had Kakashi not pulled it just a few inches to the left. What's up, kiddo? Obito said. It's been so long, Naruto said. I know, but being a shinobi's hard work. Between missions, there's very little time off, and you need every second of it to be back to 100%. But the good news is, my next mission is you, Obito said. Really? Naruto asked. Yup, protecting you is now our priority, so that means a little more uncle-nephew bonding time. Awesome, I'll go set up the game console. I've been playing Wooden Gear Liquid 4, Kunai of the Loyalists. It's so fun, you gotta try it out. Not tonight, Kushina said, maybe tomorrow. But Mom, Naruto shouted. Kushina shook her head. Sorry, Naruto, but tonight is a school night. You gotta hit the hay a little early. But tomorrow night you'll have all the time you want since it's the weekend. Naruto groaned. Why are we even having school tomorrow with all the kidnappings happening? Kushina let off a melancholic smile. Well, maybe just an hour will be okay, but after that you get to bed, alright? I'll bring you something up to eat in a moment. Naruto grabbed Obito's hand and began basically dragging him upstairs. Kushina walked to the fridge. Would you two like something too? They shook their heads. Any leads? She asked. Sadly not, Rin said. I don't understand it, Kakashi said. It's like these kids fell off the face of the earth. No trace of them in the village, no trace of them outside. Something just doesn't make sense. Have you been trying to get a hold of them through the Tailed Beast network? Rin asked. I have, but I haven't got anything but static, she said. I can't even contact Matatabi, Shukaku, or Kokuo, and they always answer anytime I try. I'm truly afraid that something bad has happened to them. After enough play, Naruto was left laying in his bed, Kurama resting on his chest. Obito looked back from the doorframe. "You okay to sleep?" he asked. Naruto looked over at Obito and smiled with a nod. Obito then proceeded to close the door behind him. Naruto gazed out the window. From there, he could see Kakashi taking up position across from him on the opposite rooftop. Naruto had been asked to leave his lamp on so Kakashi could see well inside of the room all night, and Naruto agreed. But as he laid there, despite being well protected, there was something gnawing at him. "Are you okay?" Kurama asked as he looked up at the boy. Naruto looked down at Kurama. "Yeah, I'm just worried." "Don't worry, Naruto. I will not let anything happen to you, I promise." Naruto began to pet Kurama's head. "I know, but it's not me that I'm worried about. What happened to the others? Why can't we call them? Why didn't the other tailed beasts not try to protect their Jinchuriki? I've got so many questions." "I understand," Kurama said, "and I honestly don't know either. But we are going to keep trying to figure it out. Try not to worry too much." As Naruto sat there looking out the window, he spoke. "I hope they're all okay." The next day, Naruto woke up to hear Minato and Kushina talking. "We're canceling school for the foreseeable future. I can't have this keep happening." Naruto came out of the bedroom to see his parents. Minato and Kushina looked over and saw him. "Oh, I'm sorry, bud. Did we wake you?" "It's about time for me to wake up anyway. Today's the last school day," he said. Minato looked to Kushina before looking back to Naruto. "I'm sorry, Naruto, but school's canceled today. Last night, Shino, Choji, and Kiba all disappeared." Naruto's mouth fell open. "But they had at least 7 Anbu shinobi with them. How'd it happen?" Minato shook his head. "I don't know. There were no survivors. All I know is that Suddenly there was a ring on his cell phone. Minato looked down at it. "Sorry, this is work. I gotta take it." He moved into his bedroom, closed the door, and answered it. Kushina walked over to Naruto. "Just go back to bed, honey," she said. "Mom, I'm scared," he said. "If 7 highly trained Anbu agents couldn't protect Shino, Choji, and Kiba, who's gonna protect me?" "I will," she said. Naruto's face grew pale. He began, but he stopped. He cleared his throat. "I don't think that'll be enough." Moments later, Minato came out of the room. "I just got a call from Fugaku. They found Kiba." Naruto's eyes widened. "I gotta go," Naruto said as he ran back to his room to change. Minato stepped in. "No, Naruto. With whoever's doing this still out there, you'll be putting yourself in danger." Naruto didn't stop putting his ninja clothes on. "If even 7 Anbu agents can't protect 3 kids, do you think 3 standard Jonin can? I'll be safer with you. Not to mention, I need to check on Kiba and make sure he's okay." Minato went to rebuke his son, only for Kushina to stop him. "He has a point, Minato. Right now, you may be the only one fit to protect him. You're the Hokage, the strongest shinobi in our village. If you can't protect him, then nobody can." Minato hated the idea, but he could see their logic. "All right, fine. But if the going gets tough, you get out, all right?" Naruto nodded. Naruto and Minato made their way to the hospital where Kiba was waiting. There, Minato tried to talk to him. "Kiba, what happened to you? Where were you? Did you see anyone else?" he asked. Kiba nodded. "Yeah, last night there were 3 people who attacked us. Powerful people. They had lavender-ringed eyes. They were quick, strong. I didn't know how to fight back. I couldn't. The battle was over quickly and we were taken. One by one, they started to take our tailed beasts from us. Shino, Choji, they're dead." "How did you survive?" Minato asked. "I survived because right as they were trying to take Gyuki from me, he severed one of his tentacles and used it to balance out my chakra so my body didn't freak out and kill me." Minato understood. If you can, Kiba, can you tell me who you saw? Where you were?" Kiba nodded. "I was taken to a place not too far from here, a large stone quarry." He looked weakly at Minato. "There was a man who was completely black, like a shadow, and the 3 helping them were Sasuke, Ino, and Shikamaru." Minato was surprised. "You mean Sasuke, Shikamaru, and Ino are in on it?" Kiba shrugged. "It's possible they're under mind control. They didn't respond when I talked to them, and the monster, it seemed to envelop Sasuke's body." Minato nodded. He looked back at Kakashi. "Inform Lord Fugaku that we know where the children are. We need to move quickly, before it's too late." "I'm going too," Naruto said. Minato shook his head. "No, I forbid it, Naruto. This was not part of the deal." "But the others are in danger. I have to help them." Minato shook his head. "I'm sorry, Naruto." Obito took Naruto by the shoulder. "You'll have to forgive me, Naruto." It was then that Obito locked Naruto away in the Kamui dimension using his Mangekyo Sharingan. "No! Dad!" Naruto cried out. Nobody heard him though. Kurama spoke. "Maybe this is for the best," Kurama said. "How can you say that?" Naruto asked. "The things Kiba said, they told me exactly what's going on. There's a low chance any of your friends are alive. If the Rinnegan's involved, it's likely that even Shikamaru and Ino are dead. having simply become the six-path puppets of their master. And who's their master? Naruto asked. It sounds like a creature known as Zetsu. In the world I came from, he was relentless in his desire to get all 9 beasts. Once he got them all, he unleashed the Ten Tails in an attempt to revive an ancient demoness. If you're not there, then it could be that your world is safe. But what about my father? What about my friends? Can they beat this Zetsu? Kurama looked away. I don't know. I need to go. We can help, Kurama. I can't let you, Kurama said. I'm sorry. Naruto hit his knees with tears in his eyes. Please, Kurama, you told me once that you knew me and that you were willing to die to save my life and that you would do anything, go through anything just to see me again. Please, I feel the same way about my father, about my aunts and uncles, about my friends. Please, I beg you, don't make me watch them die. It'll kill me if I have to. Kurama sat there for a moment. What was he supposed to do? There was nothing he could do, was there? The same feelings Kurama once had, Naruto now had. How much does this mean to you? Would you be willing to kill? Be willing to die the most painful death? Yes, because no death could be more painful than a life without those I love. Kurama sighed. All right, maybe I can get you out. From there, Kurama used his telepathy to connect to the minds of the other Jinchuriki, where he instructed them to use a specific contract he had made with the other tailed beasts to summon Kurama to them, and by extension, Naruto. When it was performed, Naruto met up with them and explained what was happening. Despite their fear, Hinata and Sakura made the fateful decision to follow Naruto into battle, and so the trio set out to fight Zetsu, and save at least the families that were going to die in battle. As soon as they made it to the quarry, they saw Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, and Shino, all fighting alongside the massive Gedo statue. You have to distract that statue, Kurama said. If you don't, it'll release its chakra dragons and devour the souls of all in its way. Sakura and Hinata nodded, entering their version 2 chakra cloaks. Kurama, on the other hand, had something special in mind for Naruto. I've been saving this for just such a special occasion. Please, use this power carefully. Suddenly, Naruto entered Kurama chakra mode, and due to Kurama knowing how to use sage mode, he stacked that on top, giving Naruto more chakra than he knew what to do with. Use this power to defeat Zetsu, he said. Naruto nodded. He began to run downhill. Minato saw the 3 Jinchuriki. Damn it! How did he get out of your Kamui? He asked Obito. Your guess is as good as mine, but knowing you, Lord Minato, he's probably proficient in space-time jutsu. Naruto ran down the hill where he struck Sasuke in the side of the cheek. Sasuke turned to look at Naruto, half his body covered in the black substance that was Zetsu. Zetsu spoke. Well, if it isn't the Nine Tails, I'm glad you could make it. I was beginning to think I wouldn't be able to awaken the 10 Tails with you out of my reach, but it seems I was wrong. Naruto tried to strike the black Zetsu with the Rasengan, but the Zetsu pushed it out of the way. Using the Ashura path granted him by Sasuke's Rinnegan, he formed a blade and swung it at Naruto, who barely dodged. Kurama, I don't have the skill for this guy. There's no way I can beat him. Kurama then spoke. Switch with me. Naruto agreed. From there, Kurama took control of Naruto's body. Using the 2,000 years worth of intelligence he had accumulated, he put Naruto's body to work fighting Zetsu. How did you awaken the Rinnegan within Sasuke? Kurama asked. Zetsu spoke. A sufficient infusion of Hashirama Senju's cells was all it took to awaken the power of the 6 paths. But the 6 paths is not the only thing it awakened. Suddenly, wooden pylons began to rise from the ground as the kanji for sit appeared on Zetsu's hand. Kurama recognized it immediately and jumped out of the way. Zetsu commanded the Gedo statue's hide to fire wooden spikes from its back at Kurama. It was at about this time that Sakura jumped in the way, absorbing the strikes with the hard shell of Isobu. Thank you, Sakura, Kurama said. No problem. Hitting the ground, Zetsu spoke. You cannot stop this. You're destined to become one again with Mother. The Rinnegan in his head shined as the statue roared. Suddenly, chains fired from it. Despite how much Kurama tried to dodge, he couldn't escape the chains. He, as well as Sakura and Hinata, were grabbed, and a brief moment later, Kurama was dragged out of Naruto. Kurama, gripping the ground, tried to resist being dragged away. No! Naruto! He cried out as he saw Naruto fall to the ground. Kushina! Kurama cried. A moment later, he was absorbed into the Gedo statue. Kushina knew immediately when Naruto was in a bad position. At that moment, the 10 Tails began to awaken. The other shinobi were in disarray, not knowing what to do. The last vestiges of Kurama's power within Kushina kept him anchored here, not yet bonded to the 10 Tails. Kushina, Naruto's dying, he shouted. She came to him and knelt down by her son. I don't know what to do, Kurama said. Kushina thought about it. I do. She put her hand on Naruto, and but a few seconds later, it was done. She had transplanted the remainder of Kurama's chakra. Naruto gasped back to life. Kushina! Kurama cried. Kushina smiled. I know I was never the one you came back for, she said. But all the same, I'm glad I got to meet you. She then fell over, breathing her last. Mom! Naruto cried. Looking back, she saw Sasuke and Zetsu. In Naruto's anger, he attempted to attack Zetsu, but was pushed back. Even with all the powers of the Nine Tails, you could do nothing. What makes you think you could do anything now? In but a few moments, the 10 Tails will be ready, and when it is, the infinite Tsukiyomi will begin, and Mother will be reborn. You cannot stop it now. Naruto thought for a moment. Do you think you could wake Sasuke up if you were inside of him? He asked. I could disrupt the genjutsu, but I can't. I'm not in Sasuke. Wait, no, Naruto, don't! You just got revived by your mother. I can't lose you both. Naruto spoke. There are some things you can't stop, Kurama. Some things have to happen. And right now, if I have to die to save my world, that's what I'll do. No, Naruto! Naruto began to run towards Zetsu again. Zetsu, once more using the Ashura path, attempted to burn Naruto to ashes by forming a flamethrower from Sasuke's arm. Naruto dove out of the way just quickly enough. Rushing in, he put his hand on Sasuke and transferred the small piece of Kurama to Sasuke before falling down dead. A moment later, Sasuke opened his eyes. With all the power of his will, he broke free from Zetsu, turned, and burned him to pieces with the flamethrower his arm had formed. The 10 Tails, having lost its master, began to thrash about until the pure will of all 9 beasts within overwhelmed it, shattering it to pieces. The tailed beasts landed nearby, all save Kurama, who, due to being sealed into Sasuke, proceeded to re-manifest his full form inside of him. Sasuke knelt down to Naruto and lifted him up in his arms. Naruto, he said, tears forming in his eyes. Why did you have to die? Sasuke began to think back to all the fuzzy memories. Shino, Shikamaru, Choji, Ino, Sakura, Hinata. It's all my fault. Kurama watched on with tears in his eyes. How could he let this happen? He let Naruto go, thinking that doing so would help save his family. Kurama had gambled everything on the chance that he could save everyone, and now he'd lost it all. Or so he thought, until he remembered. How can I live with myself? Sasuke asked. Sasuke, it's not your fault. Someone misused you, but I can set it right. I just need you to give me control. Sasuke nodded. Kurama took control. Holding Naruto in his arms, he spoke. Naruto, I wish we could have had more time together, but I suppose this is the best either of us could have hoped for. I want you to live on without me. Be happy, have a family, and remember that wherever you are, I'll be thinking of you. And with that, Kurama cast Samsara of Heavenly Life, using his own life as a sacrifice for the technique, bringing back all of the shinobi who had died fighting Zetsu, as well as all the Jinchuriki who had perished with the removal of their tailed beasts. Kurama couldn't speak, or even say goodbye to Naruto, but he could see without sound, as Sasuke explained what Kurama had said to him. He saw the tears in Naruto's eyes as he grabbed Sasuke by the collar. No, Kurama, don't go, please! Kurama wished to offer comfort, but it seemed as though he would not be afforded that luxury, not this time. Kurama felt the darkness growing, and as he closed his eyes one final time, he saw a light calling to him, the voice of someone he knew. Kurama, was it the sage? Or Naruto? Was Kurama once more being reborn, or was he passing on to heaven? And if the former, was he going back in time, or ahead? He did not know. But he did know was that he was pleased that everything had turned out well. And no matter what lay beyond the light that called his name, he knew for sure he would always carry Naruto with him. Even in death, their bond was unbreakable. And because of that, Kurama forged on into the light. And that's where I'm gonna call it. Yeah, kind of a sad ending, sure, but you know, y'all like this concept so much, I thought, what if I leave it open? You know, just in case you want more from it. If you really like this video, then maybe I'll say that Kurama was sent back in time once again at the end of his death, and maybe we can tell a longer, more satisfying story with more parts, but that's really up to you guys. If this video smashes records, y'all like, comment, and subscribe, because as said earlier, only 25% of our viewers actually do that, then maybe we'll continue this and see Kurama go through a new cycle. But that's up to you. Anyway, here are some other videos that I think you might like. If you have more ideas, be sure to go to our website and submit them there. Until next time, peace out.